Okie dokie. Alright, everything should be good. Alright. Hi guys. Yes, as the title implies, we are going way back in the day. Hello, Carol. I believe that's how the name sounds. Carol. Yeah, massive throwback. I remember reading that fanfic way back in the day. Yeah, way back in the day. That's a good way to describe it. Hey, Slender Slayer. Glad to see you here. Oh man, regardless of what people think of Security Breach as a game, I'm glad it existed because it got me back into Five Nights at Freddy's. It reignited a spark that I lost up for a while, but yeah, so it's been getting me thinking about the good old days. The good way to describe it. Oh my goodness. So yeah, plan for the stream is to get through the first story, depending how long that takes. Wattpad itself says it takes about an hour and a half. Of course, I'm also going to be taking time, pausing to make comments, read through the comments of the story, because that's about half the fun of the story itself. So yeah, we'll see what time we're at then, and maybe we'll get started on the Golden Freddy, the next one. When if we get the Golden Freddy, that's a story I'm that's like the one story of the series I'm kind of like, that could have been better, but that's the point of this. It's to go back and just have some fun with it. Have fun, look back where I came from, compare it to what I know now as a writer, and yeah, go from there. Before we get too far, let me close this door real quick, because my housemate is still awake. There we go. Don't want to close it completely because I got two cats who I knew are going to want in here, and they're just going to scratch the door till I let them in, so whatever. Okay. Artemis Polly, Your Dreams Online. Okay. Hey, Ian. Your FNaF fanfics will always hold up to me, dude. Wish your story kept going. Yeah, the finale still is not finished, is it? Yeah. But, you know what? I never officially canceled it, so... yeah. Housemate, not housemaid. No, housemate. I mean, he's my cousin, but... by all accounts, he's my housemate. We live in the same house. Yeah, that's what I was figuring. It was a bot. That's what I figured. But whatever. It's not spamming anything or anything like that. Okay. I mean, as long as it doesn't keep spamming weird comments. Hey, no, you're not late, Dems. We're just getting started. Yeah, we're just chilling for a little bit, reminiscing about the good old days, and looking forward to just the memories that are going to come. I mean, I know, as far as I know, Dems, you haven't read the stories, and I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't really think you're, like, knowledgeable on Five Nights at Freddy's, but I even said in the server, just like, if nothing else, this will just be a fun experiment to see how my writing style is improved. So, and plus these stories, like I said, they're adaptations of the Five Nights at Freddy's games, so they're more or less designed so any outsider can still enjoy it. So, and I feel like that's a good reason why one of the reasons my stories did stick out is because all the other, and let me get this out of the way now. I don't want to disrespect anybody when I just talk about some of this stuff, but I feel like a lot of the other stories were just typical fan fiction material. So I think mine might be more like an adaptation or so, is kind of why it stood out and got as popular as it did. And I'm not going to ignore the fact that I also wrote it around the time Five Nights at Freddy's truly got popular. So I'm sure that absolutely played a part in that. I got writer's block. Writer's block for Fallen Few. Yeah, writer's block. Oh, the bane of every writer's existence. I know some of the lore. There's a lot of lore. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's another reason why the series as a whole is so popular, is trying to figure out the lore. And honestly, I'm not even that well versed on the lore anymore. There's a lot of stuff I've need catching up on. Like Remnants, I know that originated from the books, but I'm still not quite sure what it is. But I guess it's something to do with how the spirits possess the animatronics. I don't know. I feel like once the book lore started seeping its way into the game lore without any real way to explain it, it just, I don't know. That's where I kind of got lost. Because like William Afton, that's a big name in the series, but that originated from the Silver Eyes. But the first time we ever see it in the games was Sister Location. But if you hadn't read the books, you probably wouldn't understand why that name drop was such a big deal. So, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I shouldn't have to go into material outside of the games to understand the games, if that makes sense. That's probably my biggest complaint about the FNaF series as a whole. That being said, though, I will give credit where it's due with Security Breach. You can still enjoy that game. There's some things you're going to miss, but I do enjoy the fact that you can actually comprehend what's going on in that story without knowing anything about Five Nights at Freddy's. So, good on Steel Wool for that. Just because there's scenes that are repeated throughout every day and I don't want it to become repetitive. Yeah, that was a struggle I had with Living Nightmares, which was based off FNAF 4. I actually made an update post explaining, like, yeah, I'm not quite sure how to do these segments because it's all just the same. It's just getting too repetitive. I feel like, yeah, we'll see more when we actually read the story, but like the first game, I feel like the reason I was able to write those scenes so well is because the power mechanic, because every day the power kept getting lower and lower and just added more anticipation, whereas the rest of the games there kind of wasn't too much like that. Like I guess there was the flashlight in FNAF 2, but like, because to be fair, I have not played the games in years either, so I'm trying to jog my memory on like what some of the mechanics were. But yeah, I think the flashlight was the closest we got to anything like that happening. So other than that, it was just really did just feel like the same thing every single night. Well, excluding Sister Location, but that's a completely different context. Okay, so yes, we've had some time. All right. Classroom scenes where the main character comes in, sits down, and the teacher talks to him. Ah, gotcha. Yeah, that's part of the interesting thing about writing is just you gotta picture it yourself as the reader. Like if I was reading this, would I enjoy it? That's through all my creative endeavors. That's kind of how I do it. I create things that I would want to experience myself. So I put myself in that mindset. Like I would do it like this, and I feel like that's why a lot of the things I create are based off pre-existing things or inspired of pre-existing things, because they're basically my take on the thing. Like I would have done it this way, like, or I would do this to fix that plot hole. Like Red War, perfect example. It's basically taking. I like the Purge concept, but it definitely does have its glaring plot holes and stuff like that. So Red War, to an extent, is not meant to, but it was designed off of trying to fix some of those plot holes. And ironically enough, it's like I keep saying, it's funny that the version with aliens in it is the version that's more realistic and makes more sense. So do with that what you will. So I'm adding more and different interactions between the two characters, mix it up. Yeah, absolutely. Especially with books, you don't want things to get too repetitive. That's exactly my way of approaching things. I write them because I want to experience them myself. Yeah, exactly. I feel like, yeah, that's exactly how you should be. Because if you don't enjoy it, the audience is gonna notice. The audience is gonna know if you're not enjoying what you're doing. So if you're not gonna enjoy it, why should they? So you definitely want. That's why I feel like the best games, movies, books, whatever, like you can just tell there was so much passion put behind them. Alright, well, here we are. Five Nights at Freddy's. Oh boy. Book 1 of 7. I remember, because I'd had to put like that book 1 X of whatever on top of each one, because people were reading Grand Reopening first. So while that's still a good standalone story, they were just kind of missing a whole bunch. Well, not a whole bunch, but they didn't realize that there was a whole series. So that's actually why I added that book X of Y. stuff, just to help organize everything, just to get an idea of what's all going on. Apart from those scenes and what I've discussed, the whole fanfic itself is unique. Instead of MC being the cliche hero in the DLC mods saves the girl, the OC other. Yeah, that sounds interesting. It is like, yeah, I can't wait to see what comes of that. All right, book 1 of 7. When high school dropout Mike Schmidt signed up for the security night shift at the local family pizza parlor Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, he figured he'd be stuck with 6 hours of long, boring nothingness. But when an old employee begins explaining the secrets of the animatronic animals he has to guard, he realizes there's more to this job and place than it seems. Can Mike survive the job, or will his fate lead to life as a robotic character? Based on the PC horror game, Five Nights at Freddy's will make you feel the suspense and terror of the game. I didn't put a period at the end of that sentence. Oh, we're off to a great start. Oh, and then all rights reserved. Yeah, one thing that's notorious for my stories is so many grammar and spelling mistakes, because I did not proofread these before publishing these sections. I did not do that. Oh, man. Oh, boy. So the story ends here, and then so many chapters afterwards, because I basically just kind of used it as basically as a news platform after that, because it was just the most viewed story I had. Off to a great start. Yes. Yeah, I can't wait to read some of these grammar errors just to show why proofreading is so important. You absolutely need to proofread your stories. Please, I am begging you. Please. Because if it's not grammar mistakes, it's going to be continuity errors within your own story. Which I know for sure there is one in this particular story. There's a continuity error because I completely did not think things through. My goodness. But again, you live and you learn. Alright, so yeah, about an hour and 20 minutes according to Wattpad. But again, I'm going to be reading it out loud. I'm going to be pausing to make comments. After I get through each chapter, I'm going to read through some of the comments, because that's where half the comedy of these stories come from, is just people's reactions and stuff like that. And it's the number 5 story when you search Mike Schmidt. Interesting. Yeah, what are some of these tags? Bonnie, Chica, Chicken, Computer, Five Nights at Freddy's, Fox, Foxy, Freddy Fazbear, Freddy's, Game, Guard, Horror, Mike Schmidt, Nights, Security, Shift, Waddy's 24. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I had a chance with that. All right, I've done enough stalling. Let's just put me out of my misery. All right, getting a job. All right, come on, Mike, Macy told me. You can't sit on this couch forever. Yes, I can, I replied without taking my eyes off the TV. She stood in front of the TV to try and block it. You really think you're going to make money by watching TV all day? She asked. I'm sure it's possible somewhere, I said while adjusting my head to look around her. Well, it's not possible here. She then shut off the TV and bent down to look me eye to eye. Look, she said in a serious tone, when you dropped out of high school, I promised Mom I'd make sure you had a successful life. I know, I told her, not really caring. And you're not going to get anywhere in life if you don't try to get a job somewhere. Mace, you know me. I'm not really a hard-working guy. I know, but as your big sister, I have to keep you motivated to do your best. You don't really have to, you know. I know, but a Schmidt never fails. Mom got really pissed when you dropped out, but maybe you can make it up to her by trying to get your life back together. I then deeply sighed. I hated working, but I hated disappointed Mom even more. I guess that kind of works, but it's supposed to be I hated disappointing Mom. But I hate disappointed Mom works, but yeah. Hello, Pepper. Hi, honey. Yeah. She heard me reading. I guess she wanted to hear the story too. As long as you don't get in the way. Fine, I said. I'll look through the paper and find out who's offering jobs. That's the spirit, she said with a smile. She then went to the bathroom to take her evening shower. I really didn't know what I was thinking when I decided to quit school. But I didn't think it would be like this. I have no money, my parents are upset, and I'm living with my sister in her apartment. I really hit rock bottom. It really doesn't help that I don't like physical labor, but I gotta do what I gotta do. So I went over to today's paper. Macy conveniently left it on the kitchen table, and I looked through the want ads. I saw job listings for cashiers, drivers, supply stockers, and other stuff. None of them were really up my alley. I then threw the paper on the table with frustration. When I did, Macy got out of the bathroom with towels wrapped around her body and hair. Find anything? She asked as she took the towel off her hair and started drying it. Nothing I feel like I can do, I said with a groan, to which she sighed in frustration. Yeah, the more I think about it, I think that was a weird choice to have just Macy come out in her towel. That in front of her little brother. That is weird. The more I think about it, I wasn't quite sure what I was thinking with that. One of the many things people point to, because a common complaint and criticism I always got, but it was like Macy and Mike are siblings, but I kind of always wrote them like they were boyfriend girlfriend or something like that, and I will still defend that they're just really close siblings, not too close, obviously not that close, but they're just like close friends. Like, yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, I totally understand where the criticism's coming from with that. Gotta add more fan services. Yeah. That's there you go. Just start off with some fan service. Yeah, I know it can happen, but it's still just kind of an odd choice. At least in my opinion. Find anything? She asked as she took the towel off her hair and started drying it. Nothing I feel like I can do, I said with a groan, to which she sighed in frustration. There's gotta be something even you can do, she said as she picked up the paper. She flipped through some things before stopping and appearing to read an ad. How about this? She asked as she grabbed a red Sharpie from the table and drew a circle in the paper. She then gave it to me, and I looked at what was circled. The first thing I saw was what looked like a giant teddy bear with a top hat and bow tie, as well as giant blue eyes. Next to it read the following. Help wanted. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Family pizzeria looking for security guard to work the night shift. Mondays through Fridays, 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Monitor cameras, ensure safety of equipment and animatronic characters. Not responsible for injury or dismemberment. $120 a week. They live in close proximity to one another, and she's covered up, so nothing weird about that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they live in the same place. Yeah, I get it. And yeah, it's not as weird as some people make it out to be, but I guess that one line was unnecessary, all things considered. I guess that's more what I'm trying to get at. That one line did feel a little unnecessary and out of place. Sounds simple enough even for you, she told me. Looks like you just gotta watch security cameras. I was just still staring at the ad with confusion. Hold on, I'm just gonna close that door again. Sorry, I just don't want to disturb him. Don't want to disturb him because it can get a little echoey in this house. I was just staring at the ad with confusion. What's this about dismemberment? I asked, not expecting her to know the answer. She took the paper back from me and read it again. Maybe it's just a legal thing, she said with a shrug. You know, if the worst happened, you know. Such a casual response. Honestly, half the problems in the series is people always point to Mike being an idiot, but Macy's not really that much better. All things considered, she's smarter, but she's not that much smarter, all things considered. She took the paper back from me and read it again. Okay, read that. I guess, but it's only $120 a week. That's like $4 an hour. Wow, and here I thought you didn't know how to do math. Oh, shut up. Okay, so it's not the best money, she continued, but is there any other job you'd want to have here? She got me there. Fine, I told her, taking the paper back. I'll call them and ask about the job. Thank you, she said. And if it helps, don't feel like you have to do this for money. Do it for Mom and Dad, okay? Okay. She then smiled and went into her bedroom. I groaned and called the number. I didn't want a job, but I didn't have a choice. Though to be honest, this didn't seem like a difficult job. 280 comments. 120. Yeah, that's literally $4 an hour. That's like server, like a waiter pay. Yeah. Let's take a look at some of these comments, because that's where a lot of the fun comes from. Am I late to the party? May 21st, 2020. Literally my mom. First time reader. 2016. It's honestly kind of shocked me when I actually logged back into Wattpad and looked at notifications. the stories are still being read, favorited, put into reading lists. Like, to this day, they're still getting that treatment. I'm just like, I am actually shocked. I mean, not as frequently as they used to be, but the fact that in 2021, it's still happening, it's actually kind of crazy. But this happened. Funnily enough, this story is actually, again, one of the things I didn't really plan around. And to be fair, when I wrote this story, all we had was the first game. Like, I wrote all these stories, like, each new story was written when that was the newest game. So, if it retconned a later game, it is what it is. But yeah, this particular story was set in 2014, which was the year Five Nights at Freddy's came out. So, $4 an hour, you could chalk that up to just that being a somewhat of a like, you could chalk it up to there being no minimum wage in this universe, and $4 an hour is acceptable. You could chalk it up to that, but yeah, that's one of those things I didn't really. I mean, I was in high school at the time. Let's just leave it at that. I don't know why I came here after watching all of MatPat's theories. Or I'm just rereading this again and again and again. I'm going back to read all my comments. Yeah, I'm going back to read all the comments too. Who can't make me? I have the app on my phone. I can't make it past the phone call of the first night before I make a break for it. It is creepy. Come on, you can have yeah. What are some good comments? Yeah. I'm kind of curious. What people have to say about. Yeah, she went to the bathroom to take her evening shower. I'm curious what people have to say about that. Run! Here comes the perverts. MatPat theories on FNaF are milkers. I wouldn't say they're all milkers. Some of them. I feel like half of MatPat's theories are milking it, and the other half are just repeating what the fans already know. That's my take on that's my take on MatPat as a whole. It feels like most of his lore theories are just stuff that the fans of the game already know. So he's just kind of basically just spoiling it for the people who don't know it. The majority of FNaF stories are now they've always been reader ones. Again, I feel like it's why mine stuck out, because it was like, an actual story. Mike, I may be lazy now, but if you ever so touch her, I'm gonna send this whole pizzeria after you. This turned out to be scarier than I thought it would be. You dirty minds, you commenters. How does he know this? Oh gosh, no. Nosebleed. Wait, what the fubber? I love chapter 1. LOL WTF. Foxy Swiggity Swooty coming for the booty. Whistles, I'm gonna get some JK. Mike peeks at the bathroom. 13 replies. Shut up. Why would he peep on his sister? Is this a porno? Yeah, it is. LOL, Jake. Oh, does anyone have kick? There's a random throwback. I love it. Okay, now I don't regret adding this line, because then you get some hilarious stuff like this. And here we have the residents of Alabama at your service to employ dirty incest jokes and tales. Please not the laugh. Oh, if the rest of this is gonna be like this is gonna be significantly better. Yeah, I remember. And Kick still exists, but oh man, what an interesting time when that was the big thing. Okay, let's take a look at the other half of that. When Macy got out of the bathroom with towels wrapped around her chair, I thought it said waist instead of body. I was like, the Badoinkers just got best comment of 2016. What? Whoa, bro! Whoa! Oh, I feel like everybody automatically assumed they meant towel around the body instead of hair. What? That just got weird. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I know, exactly. That's half the fun of going back to these stories and reading the comments. Maybe it's a legal thing in case the worst happened, you know? If the worst happened. Yes, Macy, lead your brother into a debt trap. As long as the law isn't broken, everything's gonna be fine, idiot. Legal. Insert Freddy laugh. I love you, brother. Oh, hey, warnings about dismemberment on a job description? You should take that job because I love you so much, brother. Yeah, looking back, Macy was just as stupid as Mike. It's a Schmidt thing. We'll just call it a Schmidt thing. Macy's a stupid bitch. Okay. I don't want to stick around in the comments too long because I do actually want to get to the story, but... Alright, we'll just go through this because 280 comments on this one line. Alright, remember that when you get your head bit off and stuffed in a bunny suit. Mistakes were made this day that can't be undone. Hopefully I'm not one of those comments. I'm not sure, Slender Slayer. I don't know, we'll see. And if you are, I won't hold anything against you. Again, I'm doing this for fun. I'm laughing with these people, not at them. Bitch, you thought. Famous last words. Good evening, this is the funeral shop. How can I help you, sir? Votes. Yeah, about that. Oh, well, you're gonna die. Yes. 2 billion times. Alright, let's get to the next part. Well, needless to say, they were interested in me despite my educational and work background. I was asked to meet with the boss on Sunday afternoon to discuss some things like what I'd have to do and stuff. So I agreed. Not like I had a choice. Sorry, I had a beard hair in my mouth. I drove over there and got my first good look at the place. The exterior was big and colorful with a giant sign reading Freddy Fazbear's Pizza in giant red letters. I went inside and was instantly greeted by tons of little children running around. A good majority of them were by some sort of stage, where I could see 3 animatronic animals singing a cheesy tune. The one in the middle, holding the microphone, was the bear I had seen in the advertisement. To his right was a purple bunny playing a red electric guitar. To his left was a yellow duck-looking thing playing a keyboard. They all looked really creepy and old, but the kids seemed to love them anyway. Yeah, remember the good old days when everybody thought Chica was a duck? Oh, those were the good old days. And then I made my way around the place and found the manager's office. I knocked on the open door, and the manager looked up from his paperwork. Yeah, just to make a quick comment on that, like, that's still the fun part. That's still the interesting part, because each story was written when it was the newest story. So it's kind of like a time capsule just to see, like, how the community was at the time. So, if nothing else, that's something interesting to get out of it. Ah, you must be Mike Schmidt, he said with a smile. Yes, sir, I replied. Please, have a seat, he said as he signaled towards the chair in front of the desk, which I proceeded to sit in. So, you want to work the night shift, he asked. Yes, sir, I replied. You said on the phone you dropped out of high school and have no past work experience, correct? Yes, that's correct. I felt stupid talking all professional, but that's how you get a job. Well, the truth is, you really don't need much to work at the security night shift, he explained. All you need to know how to do is look at screens and press buttons. Well, I play video games a lot, so I think I'm good there, I admitted. The manager smiled. Now, he continued, if you get this job, your main focus is the animatronic characters on the stage. Why? Well, we don't want anything to happen to them. They're old and almost irreplaceable. We'd fix them, but money's kind of tight for us right now. Oh. I didn't really know how to reply to that. Which reminds me, he then proceeded, if you're unhappy with your payroll, I understand. Of course, perhaps your pay isn't that important to you, or else you wouldn't have called. You got me there, he said with a chuckle. I'm mainly here because my sister forced me to. She wants me to make my parents like me again. I see, he said with a nod. Well, if you're going to be watching the characters, you may as well get to know them. He then pointed to a picture on the wall of the 3 animals I'd seen on stage when I entered. Right there in the middle is our main attraction, Freddy Fazbear, he said while pointing at the teddy bear. Right there is Bonnie the bunny, and that's Chica the chicken. That's a chicken? I asked in shock. It looked like a duck. Yeah, a lot of people think that, the manager said with a chuckle. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Wait, who's that? I asked while pointing to another picture. The character in there was a red fox or something with an eye patch and a hook on his hand. He also had a big jaw with sharp-looking teeth. Oh, that's Foxy the Pirate, he replied. He was our main attraction at Pirate Cove, but we haven't used him in years. Why? There was an accident almost 30 years ago involving him, he said nervously. It's not something we like to talk about. Again, this is the only game we had to go on the time. So, yes, that was the implication that at the time Foxy caused the bite of 87, because he who else could it possibly have been at the time? I see, I said casually. I wonder what happened. Oh, funnily enough, there's 87 comments. That's about as fitting as you can get. Well, I think that just about covers it, he finally said with a smile. Still interested? I thought for a minute. It seemed like a simple enough job, and it would make my family happy. I am, I replied. Well, consider yourself hired. I wish jobs were that easy. I wish interviews were that easy. He then extended his hand, which I politely shook. You shook his hand. You didn't shake his hand. You shook his hand. Oh my goodness. You start tonight, 12 a.m., he said. Be a bit earlier, though, so I can help you get settled. Sounds good, I replied. Well, I officially had a job now. I actually felt kind of great. Now I just gotta find a way to stay awake all night. I wish that... Yeah. Let's take a look at some of these comments. They're gonna be even more creepy in the night. Shake is a cow in his fault. Yeah, but it's... I still don't know what I was thinking with that. Cool, come on. I know. I don't have an excuse. English is my only language that I know fluently, and I still can't get it right. First, quack. Second, creepy animatronics loved by all. Chica the duck. Duck-looking thing? Get your facts straight. She's a chicken. Chica the chicken. It's a chicken. Get your facts straight. A duck-looking thing. How dare you? I'm curious. That's a chicken? Looked like a duck. You look like a duck. Oh, got him. It's Duck Duck. Yeah. I asked Cupquake. Duck Duck just has that weird glare. I can't blame him. I thought Chica was a duck instead of my friend. It's actually something Security Breach kind of got right. I mean, it's not the first version of Chica to have a white body. Technically, that was a Funtime Chica from Pizzeria Simulator, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. But the fact that Chica actually has a white body now actually helps her look a lot like a chicken instead of a duck. So I'm glad they finally fixed that. There was an accident almost 30 years ago. Yeah, boy. It's amazing how someone could live without their frontal lobe. It's actually a mangle, but that wasn't a thing yet. About that. Lies. Yeah, guys, this was written months before FNaF 2 was even out. Guys. Okay. So how do comments on Wattpad work? Yeah, if you highlight a paragraph, or specifically a certain line on a paragraph, but I split all my lines paragraph wise. But yeah, if you highlight a line, you can leave a comment about that specific line, which I love that feature so much. I absolutely love that feature. Wattpad, it definitely has its stuff, especially nowadays, but I absolutely love that feature. It makes it easy to do stuff like this. Alright. Orientation. I arrived at the restaurant at 11:55 p.m. There was only one car in the parking lot and very few lights on in the building. I walked inside the building, the door was shockingly unlocked, and I found the lights in the main stage area were the only ones on. I could still see the three characters on stage, only they were shut off and not moving now. Somehow that made them look creepier. I heard footsteps approaching from the back. It actually frightened me because it had been so quiet before then. The manager walked into the room to see who had come in. He smiled when he saw me. Welcome to your first night, he said with glee. Excited? I guess, I replied. Better than a no. Follow me and I'll show you to your station. He then started heading to the back of the restaurant, and I had no choice but to follow him. It's pretty scary here without light, I know, he admitted. But don't worry, you have plenty of light in your room. That's good to hear, I said with a relief. He was right when he said when it was scary without light. He didn't say he was scary, this place was scary. See, this is why you proofread, people. This is why you proofread. Yeah, I'm curious if I feel like people called me out on this too. If the comments will load up. Oh. What are we doing? Yeah, yeah, maybe instead the manager is referring to Freddy. Yeah, the manager is scary without the lights. Manager is scary. Okay, yeah, I think I broke it. Let me refresh that real quick. Yeah, but yeah, people called me out on that. I saw a small room with 2 doors, one on each side. There was definitely light in it though, so that was good. Here's your seat, he said, referring to the black chair in the center of the room. I went into the room and sat down in the chair. It was a little cramped in here, but at least I had leg and arm room. In front of me was a desk with papers, a phone, a fan, and some food wrappers. There were posters for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza all over the walls, as well as some drawings that looked like they came from children. Next to each of the doors were 2 buttons. There was a white one labeled Light and a red one labeled Door. Finally, in front was a blank screen, which I assumed was where the security feed would come from. Now, there's one important thing I have to tell you, the manager told me through the hallway. Like I said, we have money problems, so we can't afford to keep the main electricity running at all times. So during your shift, the only power in the building will come from a generator that, if used properly, can last at least 6 hours. Yeah, Freddy is scary without light, that's definitely true. Doesn't sound too bad, I said with a shrug. Well, the more electrical objects are used, he explains, the faster the battery will drain. Makes sense. Right, but you could end up using a lot of power throughout your shift. For example, the cameras use power, the door lights use power, the doors themselves use power. Heck, you could just sit here and use power from the light in your room. Oh. I had no idea how much I would need power. I just hoped it would be easy to conserve it. Oh, one more thing, he said. He then pulled out a piece of paper and pen. If you could sign this, that would be great. What is it? Basically a contract saying you'll stay here the whole time during your shift, you won't break anything, steal anything, bring a friend or relative in, legal stuff. Oh, okay. So I grabbed the pen and signed it. Mike, you frickin' idiot. Well, it's almost time for your shift to start, he said while looking at his watch. I'm sure everything will be fine. I'll see you in the morning. Alright, see you. I was actually really nervous. This was not alright, but I couldn't back out now. He then left, and I deeply exhaled. I hoped this would go smoothly. Yeah, this is another trope I noticed I use a lot. I said deeply exhaled, when I deeply sighed would have worked so much better. I feel like I eventually got called out on that, but... I heard a clock chime. I looked up and saw a clock that read 12 a.m. My first night had officially begun. I just hoped it would go by fast. Ah, boy. Yep, now this is where things start getting real. Night 1. Ooh boy. Actually, contracts are for suckers. Right. Real quick, I'm just going to get some water real quick because my throat's already burning a little bit. So I'll be back in 1 minute. So just hang tight for a second. Alright, I'm back. I told you that'd be quick. Alright, let's get back to the story. Okay. Night 1. I sat in the office. It was eerily quiet. The only real noise was coming from the electric fan on the desk. I turned on the screen in front of me and was greeted with a view of the 3 robotic characters on stage. Only now there was no light anywhere. They looked creepier than they ever have. To the bottom right of the screen was what looked like a layout of the building. It also appeared to be touchscreen. I tapped on one of the other boxes and the screen changed to another room. This one appeared to be backstage, where lots of spare animal costumes could be found. I caught a glimpse of a small screen to the left of the desk. It displayed a sudden giant 99% as well as 2 green bars. I turned the cameras off and suddenly there was only 1 bar. I realized this must be my power supply reader. Suddenly the phone on my desk rang and I nearly jumped out of my seat. After my heart started calming again, I picked up the receiver. "Hello?" I asked. "Hello?" the voice on the other end replied. It sounded staticky, but I could tell it was a man. "Oh hey, you must be the new guy." "Yeah, that's me," I replied. "Well, I'm here to get you settled in for your first week," he explained. "I used to work in that office before you. I'm actually finishing up my last week now, as a matter of fact." "Oh," I replied. I really didn't know what else to say. Yeah, in hindsight, I think making it recorded messages like in the games could have worked better, because that line kind of doesn't make sense otherwise, but oh well. "So, I know it can be a bit overwhelming, but I'm here to tell you there's nothing to worry about. You'll be fine. So, let's just focus on getting you through your first night, okay?" "Alright. Let's see. There's this introductory greeting from the company I'm supposed to read. It's kind of a legal thing, you know?" "Of course." "Okay. Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, a magical place for grown-ups and kids alike, where fantasy and fun come to life. Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for damage to property or person." Seemed like normal legal procedure. "Upon discovering that damage or death has occurred, a missing persons report will be filed within 90 days, or as soon as property and premises have been thoroughly cleaned and bleached, carpets have been replaced, blah blah blah." That set up the tone perfectly. Just the dark humor of this series. I love it. That did not seem like normal legal procedure. I thought back to what Macy said, that they're just planning for the worst. How stupid are these people? How stupid are these people? "Now that might sound bad, I know," he continued, "but there's really nothing to worry about." I kinda wanted to believe him. "Now, the animatronic characters do tend to get a bit quirky at night." "Quirky?" I asked. "Yeah, but do I blame them? No. If I were forced to sing those same stupid songs for 20 years and I never got a break, I'd probably get a bit irritable at night too." The line is bath, not break, which I know that's what majority of these are for, but anyway. I feel like break makes more sense. I guess he had a point. "So remember, these characters hold a special place in the hearts of children, so we need to show them some respect, okay?" "Okay. So just be aware," he then said in a serious tone. How do you... I wrote this on my phone. How did that not autocorrect? How do you even... "So just be aware," he then said in a serious tone, "these characters do tend to wander a bit." Wander? I felt like a broken record. "Yeah, they're left in some sort of free roaming mode at night. Something about their servos locking up if they're left off for too long. Why don't they just do that in the daytime?" "Well, they used to be able to walk around in the day," he explained, "but then there was the bite of 87. I froze with fear. I could hear him chuckle to himself. "It's amazing that the human body can survive without the frontal lobe," I heard him say quietly. Maybe cirrus is a word? You know what? Out of curiosity. Cirrus. Is it a word? Cirrus. The meaning of cirrus is of relating to or resembling serum. Serum. Okay. Huh. Okay, well that answers that. It is a word. Okay. That answers that. Then thought of what the manager said earlier about an accident occurring almost 30 years ago. Just what the hell is up with this place? "Now, concerning your safety," he continued in a normal tone, "the only real risk for you as a night watchman as a night watchman, M-A-N, watchman, if any, is that these characters, if they happen to see you after hours, probably won't recognize you as a person. What? I asked. Well, then what will they recognize me as? I was trying to mock you, but it actually is a word. Yeah, I was just as shocked. What recognize me as? They'll most likely see you as a metal endoskeleton without its costume on. That's a bit strange. Now, since that's against the rules here at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, they'll probably try to forcefully stuff you inside a Freddy Fazbear suit. That didn't seem too bad. Which wouldn't be so bad, he said, as if reading my mind, if the suits themselves weren't filled with cross beams, wiring, and animatronic devices, especially around the facial area. I suddenly cringed at the thought of that. So yeah, you can probably imagine how having your face shoved in there would cause a lot of discomfort and death. I felt like I was about to puke. The only parts of you that would likely see the light of day again would be your eyes and teeth poking out of the front of the mask. I could feel myself getting pale. I didn't make a single noise. Yeah, they don't tell you these things when you sign up, he replied to my silence. No, they don't, I replied. But hey, first night should be a breeze. I'll chat with you tomorrow. Okay. I was really scared. Remember, check those cameras and close the doors only if absolutely necessary. Gotta conserve power. I looked at my power meter. It was at 98% now. Got it, I told him. Alright, good night. I then heard him hang up. I then put the receiver back and deeply exhaled as I grabbed my hair. My heart was racing fast. I had no idea what this job was like. Out of curiosity, I turned the camera back on and turned to the stage. All three of them were still there. I sighed a deep sigh of relief. I then turned the camera back off. I then just chuckled. He's just messing with me, I told myself. He just wants to mess with the new guy. They won't move, and they certainly won't try and put me in a suit. I'll be fine. I then pulled out my iPod and started listening to some music while reading a magazine I'd brought with me. Ooh, iPods. Those are a little obsolete nowadays. After a while, I glanced at the clock above me. It was 12:45 a.m. I then opened the screen again. They were all still there. I smiled and put the screen back down. I then let out a big yawn. I tried taking a nap earlier today, but I don't think it did much help. I figured another nap now wouldn't hurt. I then closed my eyes and felt myself passing out. I then woke up to the sound of clanking. I suddenly opened my eyes and looked at the clock. 3:30 a.m. I pulled up the screen and my heart dropped. I saw a brown bear and a yellow chicken, but not a purple bunny. Bonnie was gone. I then clicked around, and when I got to the dining room area, I saw him standing by the tables. I asked myself how he got there, but then I realized that maybe the guy on the phone was right. Maybe they do move. Anyway, I put the camera down to not waste any power, which I saw was at 73%. Calm down, Mike, I thought to myself. It'll be okay. He's just standing there. He's not going to get you. I then peeked back at the screen. He was still there, and the others were still in their spots. I felt myself taking short breaths out of fear. I put the camera down and tried to relax. I'm sure even if those things found me, they wouldn't try and put me in one of those suits. That's just crazy. I then heard footsteps in the hall. I quickly pulled the screen back up and saw Bonnie wasn't there. I went back to the stage and saw only Freddy was there on stage. My heart started pounding. My heart started pounding again, not I heart. Oh my goodness. What? I quickly clicked through the screens and saw Bonnie was in the supply closet, again just standing there. I then flicked through and found Chica by the restrooms, standing there with mouth wide open. After putting the camera down again, I looked at the clock. 4:33 a.m. Somehow time was passing fast. After hearing footsteps again, I turned the cameras back on, again, to reveal Bonnie was back in the dining room and Chica in the kitchen. The kitchen camera was set to audio only for whatever reason, but I heard things moving around in there. Freddy was still on stage, though. All the while, I could see my battery being used up. At 5 a.m., it was at 44%. The manager said if used right, this thing could last over 6 hours. I hoped that was true. The characters didn't seem to be that much of a threat, to be honest. They were just moving around the building, nowhere near me. And it was only 2 of them. I actually felt confident. Finally, I heard chiming above me. I looked up and saw the clock read 6 a.m. I sighed a deep sigh of relief. I then looked at the cameras for the heck of it and noticed Bonnie and Chica were walking back towards the stage. When they got back on it, they got back into their positions and froze. I then pulled the screen down and got up from my chair. My first night at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza had come to an end, and I had quite an earful for the manager. Oh my goodness. Yeah, let's see. What are some good things that could be worth reading? Turn it off like a light switch. Just go flick. It's our nifty little Mormon trick. Turn it off. Turn off that fan, sir. turn the effing fan off. Haha. Oh, the fan. I'm trying to remember like why everyone made such a big deal about the fan. I don't remember. Yeah, it was only the first night. Keep in mind, it's only the first night, and even in the game itself, the first night's generally not that bad. You could still lose on the first night, but it's just not as bad. I'm here to get you settled in on your first week. There's good news and bad news. Good news is you get a job. Bad news is you're gonna die, bitch. Oh yes, I remember the theory that phone guy was the purple man. I forgot that was a thing. Shut your bubble gum dumb fried chicken ass up, purple man. Oh, you posted this comment before Springtrap was announced. Oh, phone guy. So yeah, you can probably imagine having your face shoved there could cause a lot of discomfort and death. Well, damn. Way to comfort him, phone guy. That escalated quickly. Having your face shoved in there would cause a lot of death. Can you have a little death or a lot? What about a medium amount of death? Hey, I think I know what most of the comments are going to be about for this one. Everyone's like, what? It's only 98% only. It's supposed to be an 89 or something. But people don't consider the fact that in FNaF, time goes quickly, and in this book, it's counting every single minute. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I knew that's what the comments were going to be about. Because by the end of the phone call, it's like 80% or something. Unless you're Corey Kenshin playing for the first time, in which case your battery's at like 30% because he closed the door the entire time during the phone call. That was my first Corey Kenshin video, and it was my last one for a while because I was just laughing at how stupid the guy was for doing it. It wasn't until FNaF 2 when I found him again, and that's when I kind of really stuck with him. But oh, what a first impression that was. Alright. I heard the front door open a few minutes after 6. I got out of my box room and went over to the front, where I found the manager walking in. He smiled when he saw me. I, however, didn't return the smile. Thanks for watching the place, he said. And thanks for telling me those robots move at night, I told him as I pointed at them on stage. His smile disappeared. He then sighed. If I would have told you that when you signed up, you would have never taken the job, he replied. You're right, but a heads up would have been considerate. I'm sorry, but I had to do what I had to do. Well, I have to do what I have to do, I replied coldly. I quit. You can't do that. Watch me. No, Mr. Schmidt, you seriously cannot do that. Why? He then pulled what looked like my contract out of his pocket as if he knew he'd need it. Look right here, he said, pointing at the paper. I took a glance at where he was pointing and my heart dropped. It clearly read, as a worker, I will not quit or leave job at all while employed at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Could you imagine? Could you imagine a real job having a clause like that? Like, you are not allowed to quit. Oh. What a world that would be. You son of a bitch, I shouted. I'm truly sorry, but it's the only way to keep workers employed. What if I don't just come to work, huh? Ahem. As a worker, if I don't work any of my shifts, I understand I will be sued by Fazbear Entertainment for everything I know. I can't read that with a straight face. It's so ridiculous. That is so ridiculous of a thing to add. That is such a stupid thing to add. Oh. That's just ridiculous. I'm very, very sorry, Mr. Schmidt. I then deeply sighed and stormed out of the restaurant. Don't forget, he called out, your shift starts again tonight at midnight. I was kind enough to flip him off as I got into my car and drove away. Oh. I mean, who doesn't want to flip their own bosses off? Fair enough. Oh, he got himself in... Yeah, to be fair, it is technically Mike's fault at the end of the day, but... I mean, that's... Come on. That's still a legit what the F thing to add to a contract. I arrived to work at 11:50 p.m. God forbid I be late and get sued. The manager was in the front area again, only this time he didn't greet me with a smile. In fact, he didn't say anything. He just gave a quick nod and left the place. This was going to be one awkward career with him. I then went into my office and waited until my shift officially started. Let me tell you, it was the longest 10 minutes of my life. Could do these kinds of streams again. I ultimately do plan to get through all my stories. That's the ultimate goal. There's 6 completed ones, including this one, and then there's the finale, which not completed, and I did kind of leave it at a point where it's just like, come on, what's next? But yeah, I do plan to get through these stories. And hey, yeah, maybe I could get recommended other books to read just to give live reactions to. That could be fun. Not necessarily my books, just stories in general. This whole day wasn't very fun. I started sleeping as soon as I got home and didn't wake up till 3 in the afternoon. Macy asked how the job was. I shrugged and said it was fine. If I would have told her the truth, she would have never believed me. Then the clock rang 12 and deeply exhaled as I prepared for my second night. A minute later, the phone rang. I was sort of expecting it this time, so I wasn't as surprised. The loud noise after a bit of silence can still cause a scare, though. I then picked up the phone. Hello? Hello? It was the same guy from last night. Well, hey, you made it tonight too. Congrats. Thanks. Now, I won't talk quite as long this time, seeing as how Freddy and his friends become more active as the week progresses, he explained. Might be a good idea to look at the cameras while I talk to make sure everyone's in their proper place. With that, I quickly looked at the camera and sighed with relief. They're still on stage, I told him. Good, he told me. You know, interestingly enough, Freddy doesn't come off stage very often. Really? That would help a lot. One less robot I have to deal with. Yeah, but I heard he becomes more active in the dark, though. But hey, I guess that's one more reason to not run out of power, right? Right, I replied with a nervous laugh. Could try my one, the Fallen for You one, because I like getting feedback through it, though it's over 100k words long. I'm not sure how that compares to this, but I'm not sure how long this one is word-wise. I also want to emphasize the importance of using your door lights, he continued. Good, because I was wondering what those were for. I pressed the white button in the hallway, and the hallway outside my door lit up. You see, there are blind spots in your camera view, he explained, and those blind spots happen to be right outside your doors. And at least those are the only blind spots. So if you can't see something or someone on your camera, be sure to check your door lights. You might only have a few seconds to react. Not that you would be in any danger, of course. I'm not implying that. Of course not. I'm not sure how unintentionally sarcastic that came out. Oh, also, check on the curtain in Pirate Cove from time to time. Why? I turned the camera on, only to discover Bonnie was off the stage. After finding him in the dining area, I switched to Pirate Cove's camera, where I found the closed curtain with a sorry out of order sign in front. The character there seems too unique. Seems to be unique in that he becomes more active when the cameras are turned off for a long period of time, he explained. I guess he doesn't like to be watched. I don't know. I put the camera down and thought about what he said. The manager said the character in Pirate Cove hadn't been used in years. Why would he still be able to roam? Anyway, I'm sure you have everything under control, he finished. Talk to you soon. Alright, I told him. Later. He then hung up, as did I. I looked back at the camera and saw Bonnie was still in the dining area and everyone else was still on stage. I then flipped to Pirate Cove and saw the curtain was still closed. This was definitely going to be an interesting shift. An hour passed and not much really happened. Bonnie kept moving from place to place, and thankfully he wasn't in a blind spot at all. I kept checking in on Pirate Cove and found the curtains shut. I don't think he was going to be a real problem. Famous last words. I looked back at the stage and found Chica had moved as well. I managed to find her by the restrooms, staring creepily. I put the camera down and started feeling nervous. Both of them were moving now, but hey, at least Freddy hasn't moved, though I checked the cameras after thinking that to make sure. Another hour passed. It was 2 a.m. now, and not much changed. Sorry about that. Bonnie and Chica were moving around, Freddy was still on stage, and nothing was different at Pirate Cove. Best of all, my power was at 69%, which I felt was pretty good progress. I have a strong feeling what most of these comments are going to be. I have a strong feeling. Wow. As soon as I realized I laughed. Hell yeah. You just had to slip it in there. That's when we know Foxy coming for the booty. 69, they come for the booty. Heh. Why did you have to put 69? Dude, you guys better not be thinking about Five Nights at Anime. Yeah. Honestly, that wasn't even intentional. I just picked a random number. I just completely picked a random number. Well, not completely random. I wanted it to be around that range, but yeah. Why couldn't I have at least gone with 68 or something? May have gotten a bit too easy, because I felt myself slowly falling asleep. I woke up to rattling outside my left door. I quickly looked at my clock and saw it was 2:30. I flipped through the camera and checked the area. Jeez, that's coming out of nowhere. I couldn't see anything. My heart started beating fast. There was one more possibility. I quickly pressed the white button on my left, and the hallway illuminated. Instead of an empty wall, though, I was greeted by a giant purple face right in front of mine. I shrieked in fear as I pressed the red button above the white one and saw a giant metal door slam down. I clutched my chest and tried to take slow, steady breaths. That thing could have easily gotten in here. I then quickly pulled the camera up and saw Chica was still in her hallway and Freddy was on stage still. After noticing my power was going down rapidly, I realized I couldn't keep the door shut forever. I turned on the light outside the hallway and saw a shadow outside the window, meaning Bonnie was still there. Maybe I did have to leave the door shut all night. I looked back at the cameras and saw Chica was coming closer to my door. Freddy was still on stage, though. Take a shot every time you hear that one. I turned the light back on and saw the shadow was gone. I opened the door and saw Bonnie was no longer there. I quickly exhaled with relief. Sighed with relief. Sighed. S-I-G-H. Sighed. I then checked Pirate Cove and saw what looked like a fox head poking out of the curtain. He looked right at the camera with a widely opened mouth and sharp teeth. I still didn't understand why Foxy was able to roam, but that wasn't important. I kept flipping through the cameras and found Bonnie and Chica still in the hallways and Freddy still in place. I looked back at the curtain and saw Foxy was looking at the camera. He looked pretty tore up, but I suppose that's what happens when you're abandoned for 30 years. I put the camera down to save power and tried to calm myself. It was 3 a.m. now and my power was at 52%. At this rate, I'd barely make it to 6 a.m. I checked again to see where everyone was. Bonnie was in the supply closet, Freddy hadn't moved off stage, and Foxy was still peeking out of the curtain. However, I couldn't find Chica. I had last seen her in the right hallways. I then turned on the right hallway light and was greeted by a yellow chicken pressed against the glass window. I quickly shut the door and turned the light off. I'm just reminded, because earlier I watched, for the first time in a long time, I watched How to Make Five Nights at Freddy's Not Scary. First thing coming to my mind now is when I see the lights on, like see that image of like pressing the light and Chica in the window. All I can hear is pizza, pizza. Oh, that video is such a classic. After a few seconds, I turned the light on and saw she was still there. Groaning, I turned on the cameras to find everyone else. They were in the same places, but something was different about Foxy. He was even farther out of the curtain. I really needed to keep my eye on him. I turned the light on again and saw Chica was gone. I then opened the door and then checked both door lights again to make sure. Nothing on either of them. Soon it was 5 a.m. Nothing else exciting really happened, save for a few times Bonnie and Chica appeared outside my doors. My power was at 31%, so I felt safe. I then decided to check Pirate Cove again. When I did, though, I discovered the entire curtain was wide open and Foxy was nowhere in sight, and the out of order sign now read, "It's me." It's funny that it's saying "it's me" is just an Easter egg, so I don't know why I treated that like it always does that. Maybe I thought it always does that. I don't know. Then quickly flipped through all my cameras to find him, only to discover he was dashing down the hallway towards my left door. I quickly slammed the door shut when I saw him. A split second later, I heard banging on the door. Then nothing. I turned on the light to make sure he was gone and pulled the door back up. I then checked the camera and found the curtain at Pirate Cove closed again, assuming that's where he was now. After that, everything went smoothly. There were no more hiding in blind spots, and there was no more Foxy attacks. I gave a small chuckle of joy when I heard the clock ring 6. I then looked and saw everyone head back to their proper place. With that, it was just a simple wait until the manager showed up. I was really starting to wonder if I could handle this job for any longer than a week. Oh boy. That was only night 2. "What you doing?" Macy asked as she looked over my shoulder. "Just doing research on Freddy Fazbear's," I replied, not taking my eyes off the computer screen. "Why?" "I don't know. Something just doesn't feel right about the place." "What do you mean?" "I don't know." I didn't want to lie to her, but I know how ridiculous this whole thing sounded. "Alrighty then." She then walked away to make his dinner. I honestly didn't know what I'd find with my research, but I knew I had to find something that would help me or explain something. After a quick Google search of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, I quickly came across a shocking fact. The place was not very popular. It has gotten poor reviews over the years, and customers have not been happy with the quality. The most recent complaint was the report of a mother who found what appeared to be blood and a mucus-like substance around the eyeballs of one of the animatronic characters. If I didn't know any better, I'd be concerned as well. Of course, I still was. "Dinner's ready," Macy called out. I then closed the screen and went to the dining room. "You okay?" she asked as I took a bite of my tombstone pizza. That was their dinner, a frozen tombstone pizza. Oh my goodness. That's a little bit of a projection there. A little bit of projecting there, because that was basically my favorite meal at the time. "Yeah, why?" I replied as I swallowed. Not after I swallowed. As I was swallowing, I spoke. Yeah, this is more of an adaptation of the first game. Like, basically giving... there was a story, obviously, but there was... This is kind of like fill in the gaps. With all these, I try to stay as true to the source game as possible. With all of these. Obviously, I added some characters, added a few liberties here and there to kind of make things... Especially as the series progressed, I kind of had to retcon some... Not retcon necessarily, just... change some things up a bit to just fit my own continuity up to that point. But yeah, for the most part, I'm just trying to follow the games as accurately as possible. With obviously the side characters and stuff like that to be there to give it more of an actual story. Why? I replied. "I don't know. Ever since you started working, you've been acting different." "I'm still adjusting to my new sleep schedule," I explained. "I know. I hope that's the only reason why." I wanted so bad to tell her it's not the only reason, and that I hated my job, and that I wanted out of it so bad and every night had a risk of dying. "It is," I replied and kept eating. There wasn't much conversation after that. Tell her the truth." "No." "Oh yes. Tell her and I will come for your booty." Golden Fairy Fox. "Tell her." Yeah, that was one of Mike's stupidest things, is just not telling Macy sooner. But again, I guess the Schmidts are just idiots. Both Schmidts. It used to be just Mike was the idiot, but no, Macy's just as stupid. I sat in the office and waited for my third night to begin. I realized I wasn't as nervous this time. I realized I knew what was coming. I realized I had nothing to worry about. When I first arrived, the manager gave another quick nod and left. He must be really scared to say anything to me, not that I blame him. I may have been a little rough on him, but what he did wasn't fair. The clock rung 12. I deeply breathed. It's technically correct, it just sounds weird. The phone rang again. It was to be expected at this point. I picked it up. "Hey," I spoke into the receiver. "Hello," the phone guy replied. "Hey, you're doing great. Most people don't last this long." I froze with fear. "I mean, they usually move on to other things by now," he quickly corrected. "I'm not implying that they died. That's not what I meant." "Of course not," I replied confidently, but then thought of that stupid contract that there's no way they could move on to other things. "Anyway, I better not take up too much of your time," he continued. "Things start getting real tonight." What the hell was that supposed to mean? "Hey, listen, I had an idea," he then said. "If you happen to get caught and want to avoid getting stuffed into a Freddy suit, try playing dead. Go limp." I was really confused as to what that meant, but then he kept explaining. "Then there's a chance that maybe they'll think you're an empty costume instead." I had to admit, that was strange, but it seemed smart. Then again, if they think you're an empty costume, they might want to stuff a metal skeleton into you, he suddenly told me. I wonder how that would work. I then freaked out at the thought. There were two possible ways of putting an endoskeleton in me, and neither would feel pretty. "Yeah, never mind, scratch that. It's best just to not get caught," he concluded. I appreciate this guy's attempt to make me feel better, but he's not doing a good job at it. Okay, I'll leave you to it," he finished. "See you on the flip side." Before I could reply, he hung up. I somehow felt more nervous. What did he mean when he said things would get real tonight? But I had no time to figure it out. I looked at the stage via the camera and saw Bonnie was already off stage. After finding him backstage, I checked on Pirate Co. and found the curtains closed. So far, everything seemed alright. Time seemed to pass quickly as I kept flipping through the cameras, keeping an eye on everyone. Bonnie and Chica were both moving now. Foxy's head was sticking out of the curtain, and Freddy was suddenly staring at me on stage. It was the first time Freddy showed signs of moving since I started working. By the time it was 3 a.m., my power had dropped to 48%. As long as I used as little power as possible, I'd be fine. I kept checking my blind spots often to make sure nobody was nearby and ready to kill me. I didn't fully believe they'd do much harm to me, but I couldn't risk it. Finally, at 4 a.m., I checked Pirate Cove and discovered the curtain was wide open and Foxy was gone. I immediately shut the left door again and pulled up my screen. I checked the hallway outside the door and found Foxy sprinting down the hallway again. When he got outside my door, he banged on it a few times before stopping and leaving. I deeply exhaled and opened... I say that so much. I deeply exhaled and opened the door again. Suddenly, I heard a deep and creepy laugh echo throughout the building. I then pulled up the screen and my heart started pounding. Freddy wasn't on stage. I checked the dining area and at first didn't see anything, but a close look at the screen showed two small white lights in a dark corner of the room. I then remembered Phone Guy telling me Freddy becomes a lot more active in the dark. I then kept checking where everyone was. Foxy was still behind the curtain, Bonnie was in the supply closet, Chica was in the right hallway, and Freddy was still in the dining area. Soon it was 5 a.m. Freddy was still in the dining area, Foxy was barely peeking out of the curtain, and Bonnie and Chica were still wandering around. Occasionally I had to shut the door, but my power was alright. However, I took a glance at my remaining power and saw it was 14%. I wasn't sure if I had enough to make it. Suddenly, I heard the deep, spooky laugh again. I opened the screen and saw Freddy was no longer in the dining area. I flipped through and found him in the restrooms with, again, white lights and a dark area. Hey, Wattpad. Yep, this is Wattpad. Novalian, is that how you say it? Soon I looked at my power supply. It was 3% and it was 556. A miracle from God himself would let me make it. I checked the screens again and saw everyone hadn't moved, which was good. Finally, my power was at 1%. It was 559. I felt confident yet scared. I decided to stop using the camera and lights. It was risky, but it was worth it. Suddenly, the clock rang 6. I opened the camera with the last of my shift's power and saw everyone go back to their place. Then realized that if nothing else changed at this point, I would be okay. I still feel like some things about this place were a bit off. I need to do some more research about the place to find out more. Night Shift 101. Oh, this is one of the most important chapters, probably of the entire series. When the manager showed up, I left without saying a word, as did he. As I left and headed for my car, though, I heard someone give a quick whistle for attention. I looked around and saw what looked like a homeless man in the alley a few buildings over. "Hey, you," he called out. "You that security guard over at their pizza place?" Yes, I replied slowly. "Come here," he called out to me. "I can help you." Did he somehow know what happens at the place? I'm actually kind of tired, I told him. It wasn't a lie either. Do you want to die tomorrow? No. Then get over here so I can help you. I paused before exhaling and jogging towards him. If I was going to potentially die, I'd rather it be from a hobo than a robot. Listen, he said quietly when I got to him. Your next shift will be your 4th night, right? Yeah, I replied. And has that evil bear started moving yet? Yeah. Well, let me tell you, he's a sneaky one. You'll never see him get in your room until it's too late. What do you mean? I mean, you gotta keep your eye on him at all times. When you look in your cameras and don't see him, he's already in there with you. I'm sorry, but how do you know all this place? How do you know all this? I used to work at that goddamn place, he replied. But how did you quit? Quit? He then burst into laughter. Boy, I didn't quit. I couldn't. So what happened? I didn't show up for work, that's what. So that means you got sued for everything I own? Yes, I did. And that's why I am how I am now. Cole dropped the R word. Yeah, just don't let Ari hear it. See what I did. I'm so sorry. Hey, it was the best experience of my life. After that, I got fired and was free from that hell. So why are you here? To warn guards to come about how to survive the job. Well, if all I have to do is watch Freddy, he then laughed again. You think that's all? You gotta watch for the bunny and the ducky thing. Why? Those bastards can break your wiring. If you don't lock them out in time, they'll stop your lights and door from working. Then they get you when you check the camera. How do you know? I've seen it happen to innocent fools who don't know better. So what if I do if that happens? The only thing you can do is close the other door and just sit there. No using the camera or any electronics of the sort. You've got to conserve what power you have left. Yeah, I'm just straight up dropping legit game strats at this point. That's risky, but it's the only way. I was wondering how serious this guy was. Maybe the job made him too crazy. Well, thanks for the advice. Remember what I said, he said sternly. Will do. I will, I replied. I then went back towards my car. Remember, watch the bear and keep that bunny and duck from breaking the wires. Got it. I then got in my car and pulled away. I began thinking of what he said. I had a feeling I really wasn't going to like my 4th night. Man, GameFAQs got nothing on this fic with the pro stats. Yeah, maybe that's another reason people like the story so much, because it got them through the game. Mike, can I talk to you? Mike, can I talk to you? Got a second? Can I talk to you for a second? Sure, I guess, I replied and muted the TV. You know how you said something about the pizza place you worked at didn't feel right? Yeah. Well, while you were sleeping this morning, I did my own research on the place. Did you find something? I was curious. I was actually curious. Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately? She then handed me some pieces of paper to read. I took a glance at them and saw they looked like newspaper articles. The first one read, Kids vanished at local pizzeria. Bodies not found. Yeah, this is where I just straight up just drop all the real hidden newspaper articles hidden throughout the first game. Yeah, it's funny. Those newspaper articles are what basically started the snowball effect of where the FNaF lore is today. It's crazy. That immediately got my attention. I kept reading. 2 local children were reportedly lured into a back room during the late hours of operation at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza on the night of June 26th. While video surveillance identified the man responsible and led to his capture the following morning, the children themselves were never found and are presumed dead. People think that the suspect dressed as a mascot to earn the children's trust. Holy shit, I said quietly. It gets worse, she explained. Read the next one. So I pulled the next article out and read it. 5 children now reported missing. Suspect convicted. 5 children are now linked to the incident at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, where a man dressed as a cartoon mascot lured them into a back room. While the suspect has been charged, the bodies themselves were never found. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has been fighting an uphill battle ever since to convince families to return to the pizzeria. That's strange. When I went there for the interview, everything seemed fine. There were kids all over the place, happy as could be. Keep going, she commanded. She was really starting to look nervous. I looked at the last article she had given me. Local pizzeria threatened with shutdown over sanitation. Local pizzeria Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has been threatened again with shutdown by the health department over the reports of foul odor coming from the much-loved animal mascots. Police were contacted when parents reportedly noticed what appeared to be blood and mucus along the eyes and mouths of the mascots. One parent likened them with reanimated carcasses. I read about this one a little bit last night, I admitted. Mike, what the fuck is going on here? I deeply exhaled. I could tell how worried she was about all this, so I told her everything. I told her about the phone guy's messages. I told her about my contract that prevents me from leaving. I told her about the hobo's advice. I told her about the possibility of dying by being shoved into a costume. By the time I was done, she looked sickly pale. Why didn't you tell me this before? She finally asked. Would you have believed me? She replied with silence. If I would have told you that on my first night back, you would have said I was overreacting about work and I was trying to get out of it. More silence. It looked like she was about to tear up. Can't you just call the police or something? She asked for a while. I shook my head. I got a glimpse at the contract. I read, if at any time I call the police while employed at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, I understand. If you call the police for any reason while employed there, you'll be sued. Oh, that damn contract. That contract is single-handedly the best and stupidest thing I ever came up with. That's just stupid, Macy said with a red face. I agree, Macy. I just shrugged. Not much I can do, I replied. Well, all I can say is, go to work tonight and try to survive. Take the homeless guy's advice and keep an eye on everyone. I'll try to do more research, maybe find a way around your contract. You do that? Of course, Mike. You're my brother and I love you. I gotta make sure you're okay at all times. Thanks, Macy. Really. She then smiled and looked at her watch. Her smile quickly faded. It's about time for you to leave, she told me. I gave a quick nod and got ready. Before I left, she gave me a tight hug and started crying. It's all my fault, she whispered. I had to make you take this stupid job. It's okay, I replied while patting her on the back. There's no way you could have known. I know. I'll be honest. I'll be fine, I told her confidently. Honest. Okay. With that, I said bye and left for work. I was starting to wonder what happened to those kids that went missing. When I got in my car, though, it hit me. Maybe, just maybe, they're inside the animatronic suits. It would make sense. That's why the bodies were never found and why the characters smelled and had blood and mucus around the eyes and mouth. But there were only 4 characters and 5 kids. I wonder where the 5th one went. As I pulled out of the driveway, I asked myself if I could keep my promise to Macy. Yeah, I wonder where the 5th one went. The golden biatch, bro. All I can say is he doesn't want to know. Popcorn, get your popcorn here. One word, gold. Some bots are just distractions. Some bots are just gold. That's a throwback and a half. I would have not shown up, and if the manager says anything about it, just shoot him in the face, then move to Africa. Oh, you'll find out. Golden Freddy Fazfuck. This guy's flipping smarter than every police officer ever. Oh my goodness. Night 4. I couldn't stop thinking about the articles Macy showed me. If I was correct and the children were in the suits, it would explain so much. Of course, it raised the possibility of a haunting. I was never one to believe in ghosts or the supernatural, but after this job I realized anything is possible. It may be possible that those kids are possessing the costumes, which is why they move around. I know the phone guy claimed there was a free roaming mode, but I began wondering if that was the whole reason they walked around. Before I could reflect more on it, the clock rang 12. I pulled up the camera and found everyone in their place. When the phone rang again, I didn't flinch at all. I just picked up the phone with confidence. Hello? I asked. Hello. It was him again. Hey, wow, day 4, I knew you could do it. He somehow seemed nervous. Hey, listen, I might not be around to send you a message tomorrow. I could suddenly hear banging in the background. It's been a bad night here for me. I'm kind of glad I recorded this message for you when I did. I had a terrible feeling this wasn't going to end well. Wait, this was a recording? Hey, do me a favor, he continued as the banging increased. Maybe sometime you could check inside one of those suits in the back room. I'm gonna try to hold out until someone checks. Maybe it won't be so bad. The banging wouldn't stop. I always wondered what was in those empty heads back there. I then suddenly heard what sounded like a music box playing a song that sounded very creepy. And then there was then what sounded like a low-pitched moaning, similar to what I've heard Bonnie and Chica make. Oh no. There was suddenly a loud-pitched screeching sound echoing through the phone, and the phone disconnected. I sat in fear. I wanted to believe he was okay, but I somehow knew that it wasn't very likely. Yeah, I guess if I was ever to rewrite this, I don't know. I do like the idea that Mike is able to actually talk to the phone guy, but then that section would have to be. I feel like it would have to be reworked. I don't know. Because that's part of the fun of this, trying to think of what I would have done differently. I then opened the screen to reveal Bonnie and Chica were gone. After finding them in the cameras, I checked Pirate Cove, only to discover that Foxy was already sticking out of the curtain. This was going to be a fun shift. For the first hour, I managed to find Bonnie and Chica scattered all over the place, but thankfully they weren't in a blind spot. Foxy was still teasing me by sticking out of the curtain. Freddy, however, remained still on stage. I began to feel confident now. I felt like there was nothing to worry about. I checked the light outside my doors. The right one was clear. The left one, however, was filled with a purple bunny. I then slammed the door shut and checked the cameras again. Chica was by the restrooms. Foxy was sticking out the curtain. And Freddy... Oh shit, I couldn't find Freddy. Well, that would be particularly difficult because the main character doesn't speak in the game right. Right, obviously, but again, this was kind of supposed to be more of an adaptation, so I did take some creative liberties. And yeah, one of them was being... Because I already knew that they were recordings, but... I don't know, I felt like it was a good idea, because... I know in FNaF 2 in particular, those are actual phone calls, so that actually worked. But... I don't know. I guess it would just be simple to make them all recordings. I heard that same evil low-pitched laugh echo through the building again. I checked to see if Bonnie was outside the door. Thankfully he wasn't. I opened the door and looked at the camera. Lost my place suddenly. In the dining area, I could see two glowing eyes in the dark again. The homeless guy said I just had to keep my eye on him and I'd be fine. I checked Pirate Cove again and found the curtain wide open. I quickly shut the left door. A second later, there was banging on the door. I then froze. That sounded like the banging I heard in the phone call. Anyway, I checked the light and there was nobody in the hallway. I opened the door with relief. I then suddenly heard that evil laugh again. I opened the camera and tried to find Freddy. I didn't see any glowing lights anywhere, but when I checked the kitchen's camera, despite it being audio only, I heard a familiar music box playing a familiar song. It was the song I had heard in the phone call. Da 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 da. Oh, that's an iconic song right there. I could only assume Freddy was in the kitchen. I managed to find everyone else, so I was safe for now. I then flipped through the cameras, and in one hallway, I found something I hadn't seen before. A poster of what looked like Freddy, but he seemed to be golden, despite the black and white feed of the camera. The camera's not in black and white feed. Why did I think it was in black and white? The camera feed is not black and white. I mean, it's like low saturation, sure, but it's not black and white. I was confused, but I shrugged and put the screen down. When I did, I saw what appeared to be the same Freddy I just saw on the poster sitting right in front of me. It was golden, limping lifelessly, and had no eyes or teeth at all. Screaming, I pulled the screen back up to protect myself from it. I then flipped down through the cameras again to find everyone. Surprisingly, I did it to calm myself down. When I found them all in the same places, I dared myself to put the camera down. I was relieved when I saw that the golden Freddy was gone. I wondered if it was really there or if I was imagining it. Anyway, I soon looked at the clock. 5:55 a.m. I could make it. I could make this. I could. I then looked at my power and my heart dropped. I was at 1%. There was no way I could make it now. Without power, I had no way of protecting myself. Suddenly, the light in my room shut off, and the camera quickly stopped working, and a loud humming slowly went low-pitched. What? Low-pitched as the power went out. I was now sitting in total darkness. I sat completely still in my seat. Maybe I could still make it. I only had to wait 5 minutes. For the next 4 minutes, I sat in complete silence. I didn't move at all, and I made no noise. I could hear the characters moving around the building, which only made my heart beat faster. Suddenly, I heard that music box song playing, only it sounded really close. I felt sweat roll down my face. I remember my promise to Macy that I'd be okay tonight. I felt terrible that I couldn't keep that promise. Suddenly, the music stopped. I could hear footsteps slowly approaching. I held my breath. This is it. I was gonna die. Then I heard it. The clock. The clock. It was battery operated. It rang 6 a.m. I heard the footsteps quickly walk away from my room and I deeply breathed. I barely survived my 4th night. I was terrified of what tomorrow would bring and if I could survive it. What was the deal with the Golden Freddy? Like, why 2 Freddys? I don't know much about the lore, so I thought there was him. If I remember correctly, originally it was just kind of like an Easter egg. Golden Freddy was just an Easter egg. But over time, I'm trying to remember because so much about the lore has changed over time. But I'm trying to remember. But yeah, Golden Freddy is possessed by one of the kids, but I guess there's just somehow more powerful. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I haven't been following the lore that much either, the more recent lore. But yeah, gameplay-wise, Golden Freddy was just more of an Easter egg. I knew I had a few minutes before the manager would show up, so I decided to do something real quick. I snuck out of the office and ran towards the back room where all the animal costumes were. I see the live feed of this room every night, but I've never seen it in person. It looked the same, but felt very uneasy. One reason for that was the terrible smell. I felt like I was going to gag as I walked in. It was just so foul-smelling. I then looked at the corner of the room with the security camera. I then saw something I hadn't seen in the feed, a Freddy suit that appeared to be a spare. It was slouched over and lifeless and had no signs of a metal endoskeleton. I also approached the figure. I also managed to figure out that it was the source of the foul smell. I wondered what was going on with it, but I knew a phone guy wanted me to see this. I realized this had to be for either 2 reasons. Either one involved something horrible inside it. 2 reasons. I'm guessing the reasons are because either phone guy himself or that the 5th kid was inside of it. I believe those were the 2 reasons I'd come up with. Or something. I heard the front door open up. Mr. Schmidt, the manager called out. Where are you? In the back room, I replied. I could hear total silence. Why? I smelled something in here, I told him. I wanted to see what it was. So you left your office during your shift? Your shift? No, I just got in here, I promise. Check the cameras yourself. He then poked his head in the doorway. I'll be sure to, he promised. You might want to wash these suits, I told him, playing dumb. They smell like someone died in them. He just stared at me blankly. Of course, he finally said. I'll make sure it's done. With that, I walked out and left work. I needed all the rest I could manage for tonight. They smell like someone died in them. You think? Oh yeah, just the old pasta that the masks eat for brunch. Foreshadowing, bish. That was stupid. Lel. Okay, I freaking laughed so hard. Think, Mike. Use that brain of yours and hey the hell out of there. Mike, think. Mike, I can't. Yeah, people thought okay, I know Mike is stupid, but he was completely saying that to be sarcastic. Like, I wouldn't say that for the record. He was saying that to be sarcastic. Ah, boy. Mike, you aren't going to believe this, Macy exclaimed as I walked in the door. She had rings around her eyes. How late did she stay up? Did she even sleep? What is it? I asked. She then gave me another printout of another newspaper article. I took a look at it. It was printed a month after the last one I showed you, she explained. I then read the story. Local pizzeria said to close by year's end. After a long struggle to stay in business after the tragedy that struck many years ago, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has announced it will close by the year's end. Despite a year-long search for a buyer, companies seem unwilling to be associated with the company. These characters will live on. In the hearts of children, these characters will live on. CEO. I just stared at the article and looked up at Macy. I'll be damned, I said with a chuckle. Guess that's one prayer answered. No, Mike, you clearly didn't read everything. What do you mean? Look at the date. I then looked at the date of the article. I see. August 15th, 1997? I checked all the articles. They were all from that year. Notifications. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, shouldn't it be closed by now? I don't know, Mike, but I'm worried. Something's definitely not right here. I then thought about this for a second. If this place was supposed to be closed 17 years ago for sanitation and business problems, how has nobody noticed that it's open? Mike, we need to call someone. Who? The cops? And tell them what? The Freddy Fazbear's Pizza's still open. It's got to break some sort of code. They'd never believe us, I replied. It would just work better to fix this ourselves. Because that always works. How? I honestly don't know yet, but I'm sure I'll have something in mind tonight. Tonight? I still have a job, you know. A job I can't leave unless I want to be sued. Forget about being sued. This is more important. Macy, don't worry. I have an idea. I then explained everything I was thinking. She looked sickened, but then confused. Are you sure? She asked. Yes, I'm sure. She didn't look like she was going to cry again. I hugged her tightly. Let's just get some sleep, I told her. We could both use it. She quietly agreed and went to her room, and I went to mine. I had no idea if I was right, but it would be worth it if I was. Things are getting juicy. Night 5. I sat in my office, confused as ever. When I first arrived, the manager stated he made sure the suits were cleaned. I thanked him. That's when I asked him. Excuse me, I told him. What's the date? He seemed confused. What's today's date? I forgot. Well, it's September 16th, 1997. I stared at him. I knew he'd say that. I then nodded my head and thanked him. He then left for the night. Yeah, 191 comments on this one line. Holy freaking shit. The restaurant is being haunted by the animatronics victims who don't know they're dead. X-Files music starts playing. That how is their computers? There were computers in 97. Happy September 16th. Oh yeah, on September 16th, 2016. Clears throat. Bullshit. Holy shiz, time machine building. September 16th is my birthday. I wrote that on September 16th. Happy birthday. Bitch wet. Yeah, that was quite a drop of all. That was definitely quite an info drop. A lot of bitch wet. I am now fully convinced that this place is haunted somehow. I've heard stories of spirits being trapped in buildings and reliving the same life from their time over and over. This must be one of those cases. You stop with the notifications. Sorry, I just group chats. I'll just put it that way. Group chats. I'm now sitting in my office waiting for my fifth night of... Yeah, I'm now sitting in my office waiting for my fifth night of Freddy's to start. For a fifth night of Freddy's to start. Suddenly my phone rang. It wasn't my work phone though. It was my cell phone. I pulled it out and saw it was Macy. I answered. Hello? I asked. Mike, she replied. I'm just scared. It'll be fine, I told her. What if it's not, Mike? Huh? I wasn't sure how to answer that. But don't worry about me. If there's trouble, I'll call you immediately. Immediately? I'll call you. Immediately? Immediately. Okay. I love you, Mike. I couldn't remember the last time I heard her say that to me. She already said it to you earlier in the story, my brother. It wasn't that long ago. She just said the night she found out about your job. Yeah, and this is why you proofread. This is why you proofread. I love you too, Macy. Suddenly the clock rang 12. I gotta go, Macy. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye. I think I remember a few comments relating to this one. Yeah, it basically filled with Frozen references. Yeah, I remember it was just filled with Frozen references. Okay, bye. I then hung up and opened the screen. Everyone was in their proper place. That was good. It's just what I needed. Then my work phone rang. I was actually surprised. I thought the phone guy was, Anyway, I picked up the phone. Hello? What happened next will haunt me forever. Some strange, spooky, almost demonic sounds could be heard playing through the phone. It was really deep and sounded funny, almost as if it was slowed down and backwards. It continued playing for about 30 seconds before a loud screeching blared through the phone and it hung up. I then placed the phone back and opened the screen. Bonnie was gone. What a surprise. I found him in the back room, the room with the smelly Freddy suit. I then checked Pirate Cove. Foxy wasn't out of his curtain yet. Good. At least there's something positive. As the night passed, I began to wonder if I'd make it tonight. I mean, right now it was 1:03 a.m. and my power was at 86%, so I guess that was good, but Bonnie and Chica were both wandering around. It wasn't too bad, but Foxy was starting to peek out of the curtain a bit. Thankfully, Freddy hasn't moved. I managed to lose sight of Chica at one point. I checked the kitchen and didn't hear any sounds. I quickly turned on the light on the right hallway. Sure enough, that freaking chicken was against the window. I slammed the door shut and opened the camera. Foxy was almost out of his curtain, and Freddy was staring at me on stage with creepy eyes. However, I couldn't find Bonnie. I turned on the left hallway light and found the damn purple bunny. I closed that door as well. I then realized this was the first time I'd ever shut both doors at the same time. I looked at my power counter and saw it decreasing rapidly. I checked both lights and saw Chica and Bonnie still there. To make matters worse, I heard Freddy's evil laugh start echoing again. I opened the camera and found him hiding in the bathrooms. Foxy was the least difficult to handle right now. I knew how dangerous this could all end. I put the camera down and checked the hallway lights again. Chica was still there, but fortunately Bonnie moved. I opened that door and checked the camera again. Freddy was still in the bathroom, Bonnie was in the hallway, and Foxy... Oh shit, Foxy was sprinting down the hallway. I slammed the door instantly and heard banging. I waited a few seconds, turned on the light, confirmed he wasn't there, and opened the door. I checked the other light. Chica was gone. I sighed with relief and opened the door again. Then I heard Freddy's laugh again. I opened the cameras again and found him hiding in an unimaginably dark hallway near my door. He wasn't close enough to possibly enter, but he was still close. I really needed to keep my eye on him. I looked at my time and my power. It was 2:54 and my power was at 43%. It would be a miracle to survive now. I kept having frequent hallway visits from Bonnie and Chica, as well as Foxy teasing me by coming out of the curtain. But my main focus was keeping my eye on Freddy. If he was still in the hallway, I wanted it to stay that way. Finally, at 5:09, I looked at my power, 2%. I couldn't conserve it well enough. I actually started crying. There was no way I was going to make it. There was no way I was going to go a little less than an hour without... There's no way they'd go a little less than an hour without finding me. Whew. With that, I made the ultimate decision. I shut both my doors. I then pulled out my cell phone and called Macy. Her phone rang for what felt like forever. Finally, I heard her voice. Hi, you've reached Macy Schmidt. I'm sorry I can't answer the phone right now. Leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks. My one... The one lifeline Mike has, and nothing. I couldn't believe it. It was her freaking voicemail. I heard the beep, signaling my cue to leave a message. I sighed as tears rolled down my face. I was scared. I really was. Macy, I told the phone. I'm in trouble. It's not even close to 6 a.m. and my power's about to run out. If by some miracle I make it, that's fine. But if I don't, just know that I love you. And I want to thank you for everything. Thank you for letting me stay with you, and thank you for not giving up on me. Tell Mom and Dad I love them too. Tell them I'm sorry for disappointing them, that I didn't go as a coward. I didn't plan on doing that. And one more thing, I concluded. And make sure that, no matter what happens, this place gets it. Do whatever it takes for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza to get hell. And that's when it happened. As soon as I said that, the lights went off and the doors opened. I paused. This was it. My last chance to say my last thoughts to her. "Goodbye, Macy," I finally said. "Again, thank you for caring about me. I love you. And just remember that none of this was your fault. It's none of our faults." So yeah, definitely one of the more emotional moments. Though, if you think this is sad, whoo boy, later stories get even more tragic. I'll just leave that at that for now. I lost it. I dropped my phone and sobbed like a little baby. I knew I was going to die right now. I just knew it. After I managed to control myself a bit, I picked up my phone and hung up. As much as I didn't want her last image of me to be crying my eyes out, I couldn't think of anything else to say. I sat in total silence. I didn't say a word. I didn't move a muscle. I couldn't see the clock because it was so dark, but I can imagine I was sitting there for only 5 minutes. That's when I heard it. That damn music. The one that played last night, just as Freddy was approaching my room. It was unimaginably close. I held my breath. This is it. I was gonna die. They would get me and stuff me into a suit just like the phone guy. I felt so stupid for thinking I'd survive a week at a place like this. Then the music stopped. There was total silence save for a few seconds before I heard footsteps near the left door. I couldn't tell if they were going away or towards me. I sat still for what felt like forever. Did they leave? Are they gone? Did they think I wasn't there? Was I actually going to make it? Ayy! I heard that loud screeching sound I heard on the phone right in my ears as Freddy appeared right in my face. I screamed in panic and surprise, but not for long. Freddy then grabbed my arm and yanked me out of the office. I was now being dragged on the floor with a robot's tight grip on my left arm. I could make out some of the posters in the hallway as I flew by them pretty fast. All the while, I was screaming as loud as I could in both pain and fear. I didn't know if anyone could hear me, but it was worth a shot. However, nobody showed up as I found myself in the back room. I could see an empty Freddy suit sitting there, already in position. It's like they knew they'd get me tonight. I then gathered my strength, reached up towards my attacker, and hit him in the head. It seemed to do the trick, as he quickly let go of me and grabbed where I hit him. I proceeded to get up and bolt towards the door. Contract or no contract, I was getting the hell out of here. This is where things start getting real. He must have survived because he's telling us this story. Not the most obscure of logic. Should have punched him straight in the GABA. Escape? ... question mark. I bolted out of the back room with all my stamina. I knew the exit was really close. Just a turn and a sprint would do it. I ran through the backstage area and onto the stage, where I saw the exit in plain sight. However, I could also see the silhouette of a bunny right in front of it. I knew I couldn't risk going over there without him getting me. I had to either wait it out or find another escape. Seeing as how I have 4 of these guys after me and no light to see them approach, I had to stay in motion and find another way out. I quietly headed towards the opposite direction of Bonnie and quickly found myself in front of what appeared to be Pirate Cove. The main giveaway was Foxy peeking out of the curtain, slowly looking around. I could see him look at the camera, which obviously wasn't working now. I wondered if these guys had night vision or if they fully relied on sounds. I wanted to know for sure, but I needed to figure it out safely. I saw a drinking straw on the floor. The janitor clearly needs to be fired. Of course, he might have the same contract as me. The same contract. Okay, this one's more understandable, but still inexcusable. Anyway, I picked up the straw and carefully waved it in front of Foxy's face. He didn't seem bothered by it at all. He continued to just stare at the turned off camera. I then quietly placed the straw back down on the floor, and as slowly and quietly as I could, sneaked around Foxy. I wanted to give off a sigh of relief, but I remembered how absolutely quiet I had to be. I then kept walking down the left hallway. Shockingly, this is the first time I've been down this part of the restaurant. I usually go down the right hallway to get to the office. I found nothing but doors, including the empty and open one of my security office. As much as I'd love to hide in there for protection, I had nothing to protect myself with. I just had to keep moving. I realized, though, cutting through the office would take me to the other hallway. I decided to do just that and go back towards the exit. Maybe Bonnie will have moved by then. I then went down the right hallway very quietly. As I passed the restrooms, I could hear that deep, evil laugh. I moved along faster, but just as quietly. As I came closer to the dining area, I heard some clanking to my right. I looked and saw it was the entrance to the chicken. Entrance to the kitchen. The chicken. I paused. I knew there was a character in there, but I never did get to see what was inside the kitchen. Because this is totally the time to be doing that, Mike. I slowly crept towards the door and took a peek inside. It was really dark, but I could see a yellow figure just a few feet in front of me. It was walking around, bumping into the tables and stuff. It then quickly started turning around. I quickly but quietly ran towards the dining area. I really hoped Chica didn't see me. After making it safely through the dining area, I found myself in the stage area again. It was still fairly dark, but I didn't see any signs of Bonnie or any other animatronic. I was so happy. I was so close to escape. I then quickly tiptoed towards the door. Felt like I was entering the gates of heaven, only without dying. I stopped just as I got to the door. I turned around and took one last look at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. "Goodbye, you hellhole," I whispered quietly. It was nice knowing... Hey! Bonnie jumped right in front of me and screeched the same screech as Freddy. He then grabbed me by the arm and yanked me towards the back room. I can't believe it. I was that close to freedom, and I blow it to wish this place goodbye. I felt like such a fucking idiot. I tried hitting Bonnie in the head like I did with Freddy, but this time I was grabbed by my right arm, and my left arm was still in pain from when Freddy grabbed it. It was no use. A miracle would save me now. Mike, there's a reason everybody calls you a fucking idiot. There's absolutely a reason. Oh boy. The final showdown. I saw the spare Freddy suit that seemed specially prepared for me still in the room. Bonnie didn't have as tight of a grip on me as Freddy did, so that could prove to be an advantage. He then reached for my other arm. Now was my chance. I wiggled my trapped arm around furiously to get it loose. However, Bonnie suddenly seemed to get a tighter grip on me. He then yanked my arm towards the suit. I used my free hand to grab my trapped arm and pull it back. That's when it happened. Bonnie bent my right arm, not at the elbow, but at the bone itself. I screamed in absolute pain as I heard the sharp snap echo through the room. Oh, that's making my own arm hurt. Yeah, I can only guess what these comments are about. Oh snap, I felt that. Ow god. Ow chihuahua. Alright, that right there was unexpected. Ay Dios mía. Ay Dios mía. Ow, I felt that. Oof. School nurse be like, put a band-aid on it, you're good to go. After that, I lost focus on my other hand and dropped it. Bonnie then ran my broken arm into the suit's right arm. Yeah, I figured you'd get a kick out of that one, Dems. I realized I'd be dead if I didn't do something. Without thinking, I reached behind and punched Bonnie in the face. Must have... Hi, Pepper. Hi, honey. Gonna be a little attention whore as per usual. I realized I'd be dead if I didn't do something. Without thinking, I reached behind and punched Bonnie in the face. I must have got him harder than I thought, because next thing I knew, I heard a loud thunk. I turned around and saw what looked like a mask lying on the ground. I looked up at Bonnie. Instead of his creepy purple bunny face, it was now a child's head smashed into a metal face. The child was just a boy, maybe around 6 years old. He was bloody and disgusting and smelled horrible. But this confirmed my biggest suspicion of what happened to all those kids years ago. Just then, a quick flash of light came from the human head, and Bonnie collapsed. He then stopped moving. I think he was officially gone for good. I tried to get my arm out, but it appeared to be stuck. I could feel a sharp pain all throughout my arm, but I couldn't tell if it was because it had a shattered bone or if there were so many metal objects inside. Either way, it hurt like a bitch when I pulled on it. I then heard a noise behind me. I turned around and didn't see anyone or anything moving. I was really confused. I was hoping it was my imagination, but that hope turned to doubt really fast. Aye! Chica appeared and tackled me to the ground, pulling my arm and causing me to cry in pain. The chicken then grabbed my left leg and tried stuffing it into the suit. I tried using both my legs to try and fight it off, but it was no use. Snap! I could feel my leg shatter as I howled in pain. I barely had enough nerves left to feel my broken leg being stuffed into the suit. I then punched Chica hard in the face and her mask fell off as well. Just as I suspected, inside the robot was a metal endoskeleton and the dismantled head of a child. This time, however, it was a little girl, maybe around 8 years old. I've been reading for nearly 3 hours. Nah, it's only been 2 hours, yeah. My throat definitely feels it. But I guess that means, and to be fair, it wasn't until like about 7:15 when I started reading, but still. I almost vomited at the smell. Just then, like Bonnie, a light flashed from the girl's head and the robot body collapsed. It then stopped moving, permanently. Now my right arm and left leg were broken and stuck in this suit. It would take professional help to get me out. I then heard fast-paced sprinting near the room. I stood still in fear. There was only one character I've seen sprint. Hey! Foxy barged through the door and ran at me with his hooked arm above his head. I tried punching his face, but he ducked out of the way just in time. He then quickly thrust his hook into my arm. I kept crying in pain as more of my limbs got destroyed. Foxy then took my hooked and only remaining arm and shoved that into the suit as well. Using what willpower I had left, I used my leg to reach up and kick Foxy right in the jaw. His entire face flew across the room and crashed into a few spare masks. Again, there was a child's face inside the robot's head. A little boy whose face was so mangled I couldn't tell how old he was. The face of the kid inside Foxy was mangled. I swear that was not a coincidence. That was not a coincidence. That is a coincidence. That's what I meant to say. That was not intentional. That's what I meant to say. That was not intentional. A light peered inside the robotic skull and the pirate fell. I was glad about that one. I never liked Foxy. That just left only one possessed character remaining. Right on cue, the deep, creepy laugh echoed. It sounded unimaginably close. I didn't care though. This time I was ready for Freddy. Oh my goodness. He then lunged towards me in a leap. I kicked him right in the center of the face in his big black nose. I heard a horn honking as I did. He then flew backwards and crashed into the other suits. He stood still for what seemed like forever. I simply limped my way over to him. It hurt so much, but I didn't care. I had to do this. I looked over at Freddy. His face was practically collapsed on itself, thanks to me. I then kicked off the mask. It was a little girl's face inside. My best guess on age was 10. I still couldn't believe it. All this time, the robots were possessed by the missing children and nobody knew. Then a light flashed from the girl's head, only this time it was super bright and lasted about 5 seconds. I don't know whether it's because of the light or the pain, but next thing I knew, I was collapsing myself and passed out. So there's one Can you imagine if the real Five Nights at Freddy's game ended that way? Oh my. Alright, we're almost done with the story. Home stretch. I heard the clock chiming. I wasn't sure if it was in my dreams or not. I slowly opened my eyes and looked around. At first I had forgotten what happened. Then I felt sharp pains all over my limbs, and I remembered. I tried sitting up with all my strength. It took time, but I managed to get up and look around the room. It somehow looked worse than it did before. There was dust and cobwebs all over the walls and corners, and the spare animal suits were ripped to shreds. I then dared to look at the floor. When I did, I saw the 4 animatronic characters I had destroyed laying down, exactly how they were when I passed out. Only this time I noticed something different. The children were gone. All I could see inside the heads were the animatronic skeletons. I then smiled. I had done it. I had freed the children trapped here for almost 20 years. And now that they were gone, there would be no more problems with this place. Oh boy, so we thought. I then looked down next to Freddy and saw a yellow piece of rectangular paper as well as a pink square I hadn't seen earlier. I limped over to it and took a good look at it. I scoffed when I saw what it was. "Good job, sport," was all the pink post-it read. Next to it was a yellow check for $120 in my name. It was my week's pay. I then started laughing uncontrollably. I really could care less about the money at this point. I stopped laughing when my arms and legs started hurting. I then noticed I was still half out of the Freddy suit. I was definitely stuck in this thing good. Suddenly I heard the front doors open. I stopped. It wasn't the manager, was it? Mike! I finally used the word sigh. I finally realized that word exists. I sighed with relief. It wasn't the manager, it was Macy. Where are you? Are you okay? I'm in the back room, and I think I definitely need to go to the hospital. I heard footsteps rapidly approach the door before I saw my sister rush into the room. When she did, she stopped dead in her tracks and looked around at everything. At the filthiness, at the broken robots, at her brother inside a costume. What happened? She finally asked quietly. I'll tell you later, I said, wincing in pain. Get me to the hospital. My arms and leg are broken. Oh shit, she gasped. Okay, hang on. She then rushed over to me and carefully picked me up. I winced in pain, and I had to suck it up. It's a good thing she was stronger than she looked. Picking up my weight, as well as the weight of the suit, couldn't have been easy. It took maneuvering, but she managed to get a tight grip on me and carried me out of the back room. Can't believe you worked in a dump like this, she said. It's not that bad, I argued. Mike, it's like the place hasn't been used in decades. What? We then got off stage, and I got a good look at the whole area. I gasped when I did. Macy was right. It was like the place was abandoned for years. Everything was covered in dust, the tables were flipped, and windows were boarded up. I kind of wanted to see the rest of the building, but I also wanted to get as far from here as possible. Let's just go, she told me. Let's, I told her. We then got to the door and left the restaurant. I managed to get one last good look at it. I smiled when I did. This place had caused enough pain for a lifetime. I was glad to be rid of it. It's not over yet, people. There's still one more short epilogue to come. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Alright. Epilogue. Need anything, Mike? Macy asked as she popped her head in my bedroom. Actually, I replied from bed, I could use some food. She smiled. I'll make some pizza. I then got a scared look on my face. Could I have ramen noodles instead? Sure. She then left to prepare my pizza. My meal. After all that's happened, the last thing I want to have on my mind is pizza. It had been about a month since my 5th and last night of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The doctors had to cut the Freddy suit off of me and then spent hours fixing my arms and leg. The medication they prescribed helped, but it still didn't get rid of the pain altogether. The doctor said it would take time, but my limbs would eventually heal. He also said I wouldn't be able to go to work during the healing process. He looked so confused when I started laughing like a maniac. Anyway, I am now confined to my bed, and my arms and leg left in a cast and suspended in the air. It wasn't the comfiest of setup, but I didn't complain. I don't think I'll ever complain again. Macy now checks on me constantly, seeing if I need food or anything. I'm really glad I called her when the power went out. That message was why she came that morning. She told me the other day that Freddy Fazbear's was now set to be torn down soon. It was the happiest news I'd ever received. Macy finally brought me my noodles. We talked a bit about this and that. Mom and Dad are concerned, of course, but they seemed to calm down once I said it was a work injury. I don't think they'll mind me not working for a long time. Finally, it was time for bed. Macy and I said our goodnights, and she went to bed. I then slowly closed my eyes. Despite everything, I've actually slept pretty well. No nightmares or anything. I then slowly felt myself drifting to sleep. I'm not sure how long I was out, but I thought I heard a thump in my room a while later. I couldn't turn my light on, but I thought I saw something in the darkness. It looked like a person slouched over and lifeless. Suddenly, it glowed a bright yellow, and I realized what it was. That golden Freddy I'd seen on my 4th night. I tried screaming, but it was like it's preventing me from making noise. Just then, it morphed into what appeared to be a child. And that's what I remembered. There were 5 missing children. I had only found 4. Before I could think any more about it, a loud, almost demonic sound blasted in my ears. I still couldn't scream as the image of the golden Freddy stayed frozen on my brain. Even when I closed my eyes, I could still see it staring menacingly at me with its empty eye sockets. Finally, after a few seconds, the image and the noise and the image, that's what I meant to say. I then finally heard myself screaming. A few seconds later, Macy charged into the room. Are you okay? She asked with worry. I looked around the room. No Golden Freddy. No sign of anyone but her. Yeah, I finally told her. It was just a nightmare. Do you need anything? Some water would be nice. She then left to get the water. My heart was still racing. I realized right then and there that Golden Freddy was still haunted. If he even existed. I'd never seen signs of him at the pizzeria. All I knew is that I may have left Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, but Freddy Fazbear's Pizza certainly hasn't left me. The end. Oh, it's over. Well, not gonna lie. It could have been worse. It could have been worse. Could have been better. There are definitely some things I could have changed. Could have been different, but for the most part, I'd say it still tells a pretty simple, compelling story. Because like with Five Nights at Freddy's itself, it doesn't actually start becoming more complex and in-depth until the sequels. But as a simple, straightforward adaptation of just the first game, just knowing what we know about the first game, yeah, I'd say that holds up pretty well. That was a pretty good read, actually. Yeah, definitely. There are definitely things I feel like I could have done better, but at the same time, I'm adapting gameplay as opposed to it being original story. So, yeah, I just had to work with what I had, and I'd say I worked it pretty well. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's just the next story, the Golden Freddy, because that's meant to be a follow-up. Yeah, that's the first original story of the series, and I can already tell that one's not going to hold up very well for me. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, because holy heck, my throat hurts. The action scenes were well written. You could clearly see what was going on with all the animatronics wandering around. I'm good. I'm glad that part still holds up. Because like I said, I feel like the first book is when those scenes actually were the peak. Because I feel like after all, the gameplay itself got repetitive, so it was hard to translate that into 5 sections without it feeling repetitive. Let's take a look at this author's note real quick. Wow, I'm amazed at how popular this story got. I know it's a popular game, but there were so many stories about FNaF that I thought mine wouldn't never been found. 17-year-old Cole, I am going to find you. I'm going to beat you right in the head. I want to thank all of the great people who read this story and gave positive feedback and everything. Your feedback is what keeps me motivated. I also want to thank Scott Cawthon for making Five Nights at Freddy's one of the best and most original games I've ever seen. I still stick by that. The first Five Nights at Freddy's game I will still stick as one of the most original games I've ever seen. I tip my hat to you. Finally, I want to encourage you all to read my other stories. Don't do that. Please don't. I still have unfinished works, and maybe knowing you guys are reading them will help me out. And thanks, everyone. Until next time. Oh my goodness. Yeah, what an experience that one was. Yes, oh my goodness. Let's see, we got first story. We got Golden Freddy, Grand Reopening, which is based off FNaF 2, Fazbear Fright, FNaF 3, Living Nightmares, FNaF 4, Sister Location, and then the finale, which is a mix of original and Pizzeria Sim. Oh my goodness. Yeah, even though the original story, even though there's a lot of dated stuff and stuff I would have done differently with it, I'm still enjoying this. You know, for something you wrote 7 years ago, you didn't cringe that much of it. I think of it. Yeah, honestly, a lot of the cringe I did was just based off grammar mistakes, stuff like that. Yeah, I'm actually surprised how just simple the story is. I think that's just the main thing. It's just simple of a story, more simple than I expected. But I guess, like I said, once the games progressed and things got more complicated, for lack of a better word, I feel like that's when the stories got a little bit more interesting. So yeah, I'm not sure when I'll stream the Golden Freddy. I'd like to do a gameplay stream before going right back into a book. I mean, unless you guys don't care, but yeah, I would ultimately like to get through all these stories, because I'm sure there's a lot of good memories to be relived here. So, yeah, with that being said, like I said, my throat's kind of burning a bit. I've been talking for 2 hours straight. So, yeah, I think I'm going to call this stream here. Thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. Glad you guys were able to, experience or re-experience how I was back in the day, how FNaF itself was back in the day. So, definitely a fun experience. Again, not sure when I'll stream again next. I hope relatively soon. And then it'll probably be gameplay, but that's still something for you guys to keep your eye out. You guys obviously know where to contact me. So, yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. And again, thank you again so much.